2023 was the year of the backup quarterback. This season is about a position way further down on the food chain. Well, no longer. We've got 30-year-old running backs playing at the top of their game. We've got 29-year-old running backs getting extensions. We've got whatever the hell this move was by a Giants cast-off.
What? Kiki, you're wrong. What is that?
Bro. Oh my God. Are running backs back? Are backs back? I'm thinking they're back. For years, the NFL running back position has been under siege. Pundits, analysts, and general managers alike have argued that investing heavily in running backs, whether through high draft picks or large contracts, was a fool's errand. The narrative was simple. Running backs have short careers. Their production depends heavily on the offensive line, and the league is a QB-driven, pass-heavy game. Why pay a running back top dollar when you can churn through cheap late-round picks or undrafted gems? It all started with Mike Shanahan and the Broncos through the mid to late 90s and early 2000s, and his ability to plug and play running backs. And we've seen that trickle down to his own son's approach, until Kyle found a pretty good one that he traded for and extended. And maybe Christian McCaffrey was the canary in the coal mine. Here we are in 2024, and that old narrative is starting to crumble. In fact, this season has been a showcase for some of the league's best backs, who are not just surviving, but thriving in ways that are impossible to ignore. From Derrick Henry proving age is just a number, to Saquon Barkley torching defenses and the Giants front office, to Jahmyr Gibbs and Najee Harris justifying their first-round selections. Josh Jacobs, running backs are making compelling cases for a renaissance. And here we all thought they had their last supper years ago. Renaissance reference. With Boise State's Ashton Jeanty waiting in the wings for the 2025 NFL Draft, it's safe to say the NFL might finally be rethinking its disrespect for the position. Jeanty could go top 10. Jonathan Brooks was the first back off the board at pick 46 in the 2024 draft, and his entire story's about injuries, not the position. So will Jeanty go higher than Bijan did at pick 8 in 2023? What does the return of the back mean for the game and free agency moving forward? Let's go balls deep into running backs. Don't forget to subscribe here. We're trying to get to 700,000 subs by the end of the football season. Can we do it? This is where we're at. I don't know. Oh, come on. And today's episode is sponsored by Underdog. You know the deal there. We just crossed 4,000 signups. Holy shit, guys. That's insane. Trying to get to 10K total. If that happens, Underdog owes me $1 million. If I hit that, Johnny Barks, who helps edit the videos, he edited this one. Will Keys, who helped write the videos, he helped write this one. He did most of the writing here. They get raises. We invest that money back into the channel, and Underdog's given me picks on the app. So if you've used my code, That's Good, or TGS, you should have access to my Broncos picks this week. Dad, play at your own risk there. But they're going to keep doing this as long as I send in my picks. And these are, for the pick'em games, your odds are a little better. They lowered some of the point totals or yard totals. They lowered a little bit to give you a better chance to win. Pretty cool that this is available on the app now. Sign up with my code, That's Good. That's how they know. That's how they know we're working. Or the link in the description. The Renaissance was a fervent period of European culture, artistic, political, and economic rebirth following the Middle Ages, which makes King Henry leading the running back renaissance as perfect as the Mona Lisa, the world's most popular painting of an ugly woman everyone wanted to bang back then for some reason. Running backs have been treated like the one position no NFL GM wanted to try. At 30 years old, an age where most running backs are either retired or relegated to a backup role, or even worse, pass blocking duties. King Henry is defying every preconceived notion about running back decline. The King is truly a specimen, and I think front offices should have expected that a freak of his caliber wasn't just going to fall off a cliff as soon as he hits the dreaded 3-0. The Ravens took a chance on him when the Dallas Cowboys wouldn't. Look how that's working out for both teams. The Ravens' offense, a perfect fit to complement Henry's downhill running style, guillotining 8-man boxes with ease, has allowed him to rack up yardage at a pace reminiscent of his 2,000-yard season in 2020. Thinking a player coming off a 12-touchdown season with 1,167 rushing yards behind a bad offensive line was a risk will go down as one of the all-time dumb groupthinks in NFL history. Now, if you were wondering, Derrick Henry is making $8 million on average with his new contract. That's $1 million less than Hunter Henry. What the hell are we doing? How did we arrive here? It's baffling that a future Hall of Fame player is making the same amount of cash on average as DeAndre Swift and Curtis Samuel, but it's somehow the truth. And by the way, Derrick Henry's averaging right around 6 yards per carry, and he has all season long. Plus, he's got double-digit touchdowns on the year. Think the Cowboys couldn't have used that? Savvy GMs find the players who are the outliers, who buck the norm. Henry was that dude last offseason. If Derrick Henry's resurgence is about longevity, Saquon Barkley's 2024 campaign is about vindication. After an offseason standoff with the New York Giants that saw the team refuse to offer him a long-term deal, Barkley is doing everything in his power to make them regret that decision. And boy, oh boy, is it working.
I'm going to have a tough time sleeping if Saquon goes to Philadelphia, I'll tell you that.
Tom Brady was probably the last player who left his team that made his ex look very silly and incredibly jealous.
Who needs you? Beat it! Leave me alone! I'm sorry, babe. I didn't mean that either.
Barkley has been an unstoppable force this season, leading the league in rushing and is on pace to eclipse the elusive 2,000-yard mark. Hell, with the 17-game season, he might even be a threat to Eric Dickerson's all-time mark of 2,105 yards. Every week, Barkley is ripping off long runs, bouncing off tacklers like a pinball, and showing why he was drafted second overall back in 2018. We talk so much about how quarterbacks going to the right spot is very important for their success, but Saquon is a great example that we need to throw into the mix to show how that's really true for every position on the football field. Saquon even invented a new move so cool that Madden added it into their game almost immediately. His dual threat ability as a runner and receiver made the Giants' offense, formerly led by Daniel Jones, watchable. Ironically, Barkley's dominance has underscored just how badly the Giants botched their handling of his contract.
We're gonna be fine.
Jones got the payday, Barkley did not. Neither of them are Giants anymore. One of them is going to win awards at the end of the season, and it's not going to be Senior Dogecoin. Here's the thing, his deal wasn't even a number that was going to break the bank for the Giants. Barkley signed a 3-year, $38 million deal, and he's got a chance to win MVP. That might be a big number for a running back, but it's not a fortune in the grand scheme of things. Players like Gabe Davis and Chase Young are making more money on average than Saquon Barkley. That's an insane thing to say out loud, and I'm embarrassed I had to. But you can blame the NFL for that one. Barkley is just the 190th player in terms of contract average, and he's currently a top 10 player in the league no matter how you slice it. And that's with Jalen Hurts taking a massive slice out of Saquon's rushing TD opportunities. Sometimes all a player needs is a change of scenery, and I think that's true for Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones. After years as a consistent but underappreciated weapon in Green Bay, Jones has found a second wind with the Minnesota Vikings at age 30. In Kevin O'Connell's offense, Jones has thrived as both a runner and a receiver on pace for close to 1,500 yards of total offense. Tell me that isn't a big help for a stopgap QB like Sam Darnold, who's been outperforming expectations in a major way in 2024. And the way Sam's playing, it's not fair to call him a stopgap, but that's what he was when they brought him in. Aaron Jones, by the way, the 327th highest paid player in the league on average. For years, drafting a running back in the first round has been considered taboo, but the Detroit Lions and the Pittsburgh Steelers are showing why that stigma is outdated. Jahmyr Gibbs, taken 12th overall in 2023, and Najee Harris, the Steelers' first-round pick in 2021, have been pivotal to their team's success this season. I think you can also make the case that Bijan Robinson, picked 8th overall in 2023, has been the best player on the Atlanta Falcons team that's still technically in the mix for the playoffs. But that's dwindling. Gibbs in particular has been electric in his sophomore season. The Lions' offense, already potent thanks to its dominant offensive line and Jared Goff's resurgence, has reached another level with Gibbs in the backfield. His explosiveness, ability to break big runs, and knack for catching passes out of the backfield have made him a nightmare for opposing defenses. The Lions bet big on Gibbs, and it's paying off in spades. Even splitting carries with the incredibly talented David Montgomery, Gibbs hit over 1,000 yards rushing before coming close to 200 carries. Oh yeah, and he's also reached the end zone on 12 separate occasions. And that's a high draft pick spent on a running back who is part of a perfect duo system for the Lions. I can't say enough good things about David Montgomery, and he's another running back playing on a bargain deal and helping his team in a massive way. And all he eats is carrots. Don't forget that. Meanwhile, Najee Harris has silenced critics in Pittsburgh. Running behind an improved Steelers offensive line, Harris has rediscovered the form that made him a first-round pick in the first place. He's been a workhorse, grinding out tough yards and providing the Steelers with a reliable offensive identity. For a team that prides itself on physicality, Harris has been the perfect fit. And he's been a huge boon for the offense as soon as they made the switch to Russell Wilson. I think this season has given Najee a ton of leverage as he is set to be an unrestricted free agent in 2025. Now, depending on what Russell Wilson's contract will command, if the Steelers do bring him back, Harris has the best chance of any recent back to reset the running back market in their favor this free agency period. And the Steelers might be thinking they should have exercised his fifth-year option. Now, you can even make the case that James Conner has broken the trend in Arizona. 29-year-old running backs don't typically get 2-year extensions, but I think Arizona is starting to break the mold and realize the kind of value that Conner brings to an offense that's begun to sort of hit its stride this season. You never fucking know what the Cardinals are going to do. One common denominator for all of these running backs, though, is the presence of competent, if not elite, offensive lines. Henry is a bit of an outlier given the Ravens' struggles up front, earning a very middle-of-the-road blocking grade this season, but Barkley, Gibbs, Harris, and Jones have all benefited from strong blocking. All making their reads and cutbacks behind at least top 12 blocking crews. This underscores an important point. Investing in running backs is most effective when paired with an investment in the offensive line. And I'd be remiss to point out another obvious truth. We heard so much, especially early in the season, about the toll the cover 2 defense was putting on the passing game. And it was. Passing, though, has rebounded to a certain extent, but offensive coordinators have also adjusted by pounding those light boxes. That's not a fetish for petite women either. It's running when you should. You have to pound those light boxes. OCs have found their counterpunch. The run game is more dangerous than ever, and having a strong investment at the running back position puts you in a great spot in this era of NFL football because we have those two safeties playing so deep. Not so safe now, is it, you two high shell nerds? For too long, NFL teams have operated under the false dichotomy that you can either pay your offensive line or pay your running back, but not both. This season has shown that the two positions can work in tandem to elevate an offense. A great offensive line doesn't diminish a running back's value, it amplifies it. And when you pair a talented back with a strong O-line, the results can be game-changing. Of course, not every running back investment has paid off. Christian McCaffrey, once the poster child literally, in the case of Madden 25.
There's been a long history of the Madden curse and questions about being on the cover of that game.
Whatever happens, happens, but I'm excited to be on the cover.
For the do-everything running back has struggled to stay on the field this season due to injuries, both before and during the season. This is always going to be the risk at the running back position because of wear and tear, but it's also why we see a committee approach in most offenses. When healthy though, Christian McCaffrey is still one of the most dynamic players in the league. His injuries have less to do with his position and more to do with his unique workload. If anything, his struggles highlight the importance of managing a running back's usage rather than devaluing the position altogether. It's probably why the Ravens aren't giving Derrick Henry 30 touches a game, as they hope to keep him fresh and healthy for the postseason. You've got to think about touches in terms of your goals for that season and for your elite back's entire career. Now, I mentioned Aaron Jones to make the case for 30-year-old backs, but the Packers are another great example of a team that got better at the position. They pursued 2022's rushing king in free agency, and they have been repaid handsomely. Jacobs passed the 1,000-yard mark in early December and posted a 6-game stretch where he accounted for 10 of the Packers' touchdowns. Like Barkley, Gibbs, and Henry, Jacobs is in the top tier for backs, earning runs of at least 10 yards this season. The value that provides for an offense can't be overstated. Jacobs has the third most carries this season. Joe Mixon also changed teams, and we've seen the Texans' offense really function at optimal levels when Mixon is carrying the load. Not that the teams that these backs left would have been good this season, but I love this observation from Steve Palazzolo. Fun narrative that Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, and Josh Jacobs all went to new teams and turned them around. They left teams that combined for 20 wins last year and joined teams that combined for 33 wins last year. This season, their teams are on pace for 35 wins. All of this is setting the stage for a potentially seismic shift in how NFL teams approach the running back position. Enter Ashton Jeanty, the Boise State phenom who's already being touted as the next great NFL running back. Jeanty has the size, speed, vision, and versatility that teams dream about, and he's almost certain to be a first-round pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. I say almost because NFL GMs are crazy. Never forget that. For a league that's spent the better part of the last decade devaluing the running back position, the idea of a team drafting Jeanty in the top half of the first round might have seemed laughable just a year ago, but 2024 has proven that running backs, when paired with the right O-line and infrastructure, can still be franchise-altering players. Teams like the Lions, Steelers, and even the Giants, despite their mishandling of Barkley, have shown that investing in top-tier running backs can pay enormous dividends. The 2024 NFL season has been a banner year for backs, and it's forcing the league to reconsider its approach to the position. For too long, running backs have been treated as replaceable cogs in the offensive machine, but players like Henry, Barkley, Gibbs, Najee, and Jacobs are proving that running backs can still be game changers. Guys their offense leans on for success, provided they're given the right tools to succeed. Their impact's so big, the MVP, which we thought would only go to quarterbacks for the rest of eternity, well, right now, Saquon Barkley has the second best odds to win it, behind just Josh Allen. Now, as we look ahead to the 2025 NFL Draft and the arrival of players like Jeanty, it is clear that the pendulum is swinging back in the favor of running backs. And for those of us who still appreciate a great ground game, it's time. Jeanty's not the only guy who's going to get looks in the first round, but he is, of course, a potential Heisman and one of the best running backs we've seen in college football for over a decade. The point is, it's not crazy to pick a running back in the top 15 anymore. Even crazier, it might not be as sound of an investment as just paying a top-tier running back in free agency. But that market might shift this offseason given what we've seen. Regardless, fans should be excited about watching their team draft a running back. The NFL is better when a handful of backs are top weapons across the league. You ever see the movie Moneyball? It's about not having to look good in jeans. It's also about finding an inefficiency in the way things are done and exploiting it. Teams like the Lions, Ravens, and Eagles have found that inefficiency in the NFL and attacked it. It's paying huge dividends. I'm never going to argue that it's more important a position than quarterback or left tackle, just that we've gone too far in devaluing the position. And those who understand the true value of the running back have watched their offenses push to the next echelon of greatness. It's the return of the back. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. You gotta subscribe. If you made it this far, you also probably need to go to the toilet. Don't forget, go to the bathroom now. Come on. Or did you watch this on the toilet? Were you watching on the toilet?